What is up, lads? It's CM9 here. This is going to be a long season, isn't it? I can see it now. I'm still trying to get over the 6-0 defeat against Man City last season. Now this. 4-0. Opening game of the season. That's now the second opening day defeat in 3 years. Magnificent. You know what's funny though? I'm going to come straight out and say that did not feel like a 4-0 defeat. That honestly felt like we just were unlucky. I feared it going into this season. You know, following our pre-season woes at the back and our defensive problems, I just worried that a team like Man United would exploit that somehow, and they did. But the most annoying thing about that is that they didn't dictate the game at all. In fact, we should have taken advantage of our earlier chances in the first half. And, well, we didn't. We had this earlier chance by Tammy Abraham. It was a clean strike, by the way, came off the post. And if that had gone in, we'd have gained some real momentum, gained ourselves some good confidence with a 1-0 lead, but that didn't happen though, did it? And then, well, actually, let's be real about this. The tempo of the game at the very beginning was very much in our favour. We had Mason Mount doing quite a lot of instrumental stuff. Ross Barkley had a very, very poor game. I'll get to him in a minute. And so Pedro was just as bad. Jorginho had a much better game. But, well, especially when he had the ball majority of the time and sort of linked up well with Mount. But that's just only half of the midfield. The rest of it was just not there at all. And what my biggest problem with Ross Barkley was that he was playing way too far over to the left. He should have played a little bit in the middle. And I was expecting a player like Pulisic to start today. I don't know why Lampard had him on the bench. I thought that was rather questionable. But the real kicker in the first half was when we conceded the penalty from another player that really, really had a bad game, Kurt Zouma. He was all over the place in the first half, to be honest. He conceded the penalty, like I said, but he also got a yellow card. And it's those two things that really stifle the players' confidence in a game. I mean, you know, even when going 1-0 down from the penalty, like straight after that, following our real positive start, we just couldn't get going. We couldn't string two passes together. Like I said, Ross Barkley just didn't do enough. He just kept misplacing his passes. Pedro was very, very selfish. Like the number of times that he had an opportunity to lay it off for somebody and he didn't do it. All he did was just go for goal and just missed every single time. And, well, that was the first half. That was just us chasing the game. And then the second half, well, there was one distinctive thing that Gary Neville said in commentary. And he said this: get Chelsea to play around, not letting us play in the pockets, and then hit us on the counter-attack and get a goal. As soon as he said that, Man United did exactly that. They made us pass. As soon as they got the ball, they hit it right up the end of the pitch, and then Marshall made it 2-0. But then 12 seconds later, Rashford scores another one. And then later on, their substitute, Daniel James, that they signed from Swansea, he gets number 4. And, well, it doesn't feel like a 4-0, but I feel like it's a 4-0. It's kind of weird. But like I said, I'm still getting over the 6-0 defeat against Man City last season. Now this. It just shows us that Frank Lampard has more on his plate than what we anticipated. And I feared this. I don't know if I said this. I feared this from day one. All of those goals that we conceded during pre-season, yes, we won the majority of them, but all those goals that we conceded in pre-season because of zonal marking issues, from silly reckless challenges, from space prevention, all those things that I was saying, I feared that we were going to showcase a majority of our blemishes in this game against United. And that's exactly what happened. Frank Lampard has got a lot more on his plate than what we anticipated. And this is what we have to come to terms with as Chelsea fans. We have to come to terms with the fact that we are not the same team that we were years ago. We're not the same team with resilience. We're not the same team that has intensity. We're not the same team that has all this attacking flair anymore. We don't have that anymore. We had that with Eden Hazard, and he's not here anymore. We are not a title-winning team. It just goes to show that this season is not going to be a title-winning side. It's going to be a rebuilding side. It's going to be a season where we make mistakes like this and we have to move on and we have to learn from it. You know, players like Mason Mount, players like Christian Pulisic, players like, I guess you could say players like Ross Barkley, because he's trying to rectify his problems under Sarri. Now he's playing a completely new regime under Frank Lampard. So everyone technically is in a very new state. Like this very heavy defeat against Man United just shows you that we've got a lot to do. I haven't even looked at the table, but it seems as though we are bottom of the table because of the goal difference. I think Watford and Southampton conceded less. So yeah, I guess you could say we are bottom of the table from day one. Nice. That's just what I want to see, I guess. So let's just talk about individual players on the pitch today. I want to start with Kurt Zouma, because Kurt Zouma had an absolute shocker in the first half. He really did find it very difficult. Well, he got a yellow card and he conceded the penalty, and I think what Lampard needed to go away and do is put an arm around his shoulder and say, just stay focused. Because, like I said earlier, it's those two things that happen in a game like this. It just stifles a player's performance, stifles a player's confidence, and, well, it didn't make anything better in the second half, if you look at the score. So, what can you do? I'm not happy about this. That's well, like I said earlier, this is now the second opening defeat in 3 seasons, following the that one against Burnley 2 seasons ago. So yeah, I think it seems like we've got a knack now for opening day losses, but it doesn't make it any easier when we got to play Liverpool in the Super Cup final. Liverpool are going to be really enjoying that idea of us losing 4-0. And then Leicester City at home. Another game where I really don't feel that we are going to make it easy of it. It's going to be a very difficult game against Leicester, because if you remember last season, Leicester beat us 1-0 at Stamford Bridge. So it doesn't make it any easier, our games coming up. So I think if we want to try and conclude this game, of course, defending needs to improve. I think the fact of the matter is, we need to be more clinical going forward. Like, some of the chances we had. The other thing I forgot as well to mention was Emerson's chance, again, hit the woodwork. So we had Abraham hitting the woodwork. We had Emerson hitting the woodwork. And I'll tell you something, if we'd have scored those 2 goals, it would be 2-1 to us going in at half time. Sadly, it wasn't. But then you look at that second half and you think, just the same old defensive errors, showing that we saw in pre-season. Look, I still have faith in Lampard. I still have faith in this team. Like I said, we have to just come to terms with the fact that we are not the same team that we were years ago. We have to understand that this is a rebuilding side. This is not a title-ambitious season. This is not the sort of season that we're going to be going straight in and winning the title. That's all I'm going to say. What we have to understand is that this is going to be one of those seasons that we try and start learning from mistakes and hoping that we don't do them again. But then you could argue that this is a game of football where we really should be winning, because this is a rival side when you think about it. When you think of the top 6, the big 6, this is a sort of game we should be winning. And then when you lose like this, it just makes it a very sour pill to swallow. So there's so many different ways you can see this. Of course, us Chelsea fans are going to be pissed about this, because this is a 4-0 loss, not a 1-0 loss, which technically it should have been, because we should have taken United when they were down in the very, very early stages of that half. We definitely had them on the ropes. We just needed to be more clinical. And then you just got the rest of it just falling under scrutiny because of our bad defending later on. So when you add all the numbers up, it really shouldn't be 4-0. It should be more like a 1-0. Like I said, I'm still trying to get over the 6-0 loss against Man City, and now I've got this to deal with. So it's great, isn't it? It's great losing big margins like this. We just got to take it on the chin. We've got to move on. We've got to learn from it. We still got 37 games to go in the season, but it's a very bitter pill to swallow today. It really is. Especially against a rival, and especially against that one rival team that are rebelling against their own team anyway because of the Glazers, because of the fact that they sold Lukaku and they didn't replace him with all of the players that they were linked with on deadline day, and that big backlash on both Ed Woodward and the Glazers. And with this, we've given them a lifeline. So great. So we have Spurs winning, Arsenal winning, Liverpool winning, City winning, and we're the only top 16 that haven't. Great. I can't. That's just what I like to see. That's just what I like to see on this magnificent weekend. So just to summarise, started off really well. Should have taken our chances when we did. Abraham should have scored that goal instead of hitting the post, but you know, it happens. Kurt Zouma with the most shocking performance gave away the penalty to open the floodgates for United. Well, it didn't really technically open the floodgates, it just gave United some kind of confidence. And then the second half, that's when the floodgates opened. And then that's when us Chelsea fans just started to fluctuate in sadness. But, you know, it happens. You just got to understand the fact that this is not going to be a title winning season. It's going to be a rebuilding season with a bunch of players trying to learn from mistakes. This is what we've got to come to terms with. We are not the same side that we were all those years ago. That's just it. We go again. We've got to focus on Liverpool in the Super Cup and then Leicester City. It doesn't get any easier, guys. It doesn't get any easier, but we just got to roll with the punches, I'm afraid. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. Check out my social media links in the description down below. If you are a gamer, there's a gaming channel that I do as well. Go and check it out, Chris Marder Games. Follow me on Twitter as well. I've got Twitter. I talk about a lot of good things there. And roll with the punches, Chelsea fans, because we're going to be dealing with quite a lot of them this season. Until the next video, I shall see you later. Hey door, and peace.